Chicken pot pie is just one of those comforting meals that hits the spot every time, and now it's the perfect weather for it, so let me show you how to make it. Start by frying up 2 pieces of chopped bacon. I like thick cut. While that's crisping up, let's prep our veggies. Chop 1 whole yellow onion, take a Yukon potato and cut that into cubes. I took 2 celery sticks, cut that in half and gave it a chop. 2 carrot sticks, cut those in half and gave that a chop. And then I like to add fennel to this as well. Make sure to remove the core as it can be tough before you chop that up. And then crush however much garlic you like. I'm gonna use 6 cloves. Once your bacon is rendered, remove that from the pot. Into the same pot, we're adding 2 tablespoons of butter before tossing in our onions and our potatoes. Let these sweat out for about 5 minutes before we go ahead and toss in the rest of our veg. The great thing about this dish is you can use whatever veggies you have on hand, so feel free to leave any of these out or add anything else in. But don't forget to salt and pepper at this point before you add in your garlic, and then about 3 tablespoons of any fresh cut herb. Today I'm using thyme, rosemary, and sage. Let this cook down for about 5 minutes and get nice and aromatic. At this point, your house is smelling so good. Then toss in 2 tablespoons of butter, a 1/3 cup of flour, and let the flour cook down and get toasty about 5 minutes. Get yourself a 1/2 cup of good dry white wine and pour this into our veggies. We're looking for the flour and wine to form together to get a little pasty before we pour in 3 cups of chicken stock, a cup of heavy cream, and then a 1/4 cup of milk. Give this a good stir before setting this to medium-low heat, bringing up to a simmer and letting sit for about 15 minutes so it can get nice and thick like so. Once thickened, add in about 3 cups of shredded chicken. I just pulled apart a rotisserie chicken that I grabbed at Whole Foods, but if you have time to roast a whole chicken, more power to you. Don't forget to throw your bacon back in, give this a good stir, and then I'm going to season this one more time with salt and pepper. I also threw in a little bit of smoked paprika because I throw that into everything, and then a handful of chopped parsley. Last steps are optional but delicious. Let this sit for another 10 minutes on heat before we butter up our cast iron pan. Some people choose to not have a bottom crust. I am not those people, so I'm going to go ahead and place in my rough puff pastry before loading in my chicken mixture. You want the pie to be really full before we place on the top crust. I like to tuck the crust into the pan so it kind of seals together with the other crust, and then just cut in a couple of venting holes before giving this an egg wash so we get that beautiful golden crust. Bake your pie at 375 degrees for about 50 minutes, and then voila, you have the most beautiful chicken pot pie you have ever seen in your entire life. I just topped this with a little bit of Maldon salt and some extra thyme because home-cooked meals can be fancy too. The filling was so savory and comforting. The crust was perfectly crispy and buttery. I hope you make it and enjoy.